So our section here is on trigonometric ratios. We're going to talk about the three trig functions. So trig ratios can be used to find the relationship between the lengths of sides of right triangles and given angles. Okay? Our three basic trig functions are sine, cosine, and tangent. What you want to do when you're doing a trig function, you'll be given some angle. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is, you're given an angle. What you want to do is label your three sides. If I go from my angle and I were to draw a straight line, we call this the opposite leg. Then the side across from the 90, or the biggest side, is still my hypotenuse. You still use that term. And the side next to my angle is called the adjacent. Okay, so you want to make sure you're able to label all three parts. And our first trig function we're going to talk about is sine. Sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? We also normally, like if you look at a calculator, you'll just see the word sin. That stands for sine. So sin equals opposite over hypotenuse. The sine of the angle is the ratio of the opposite, and that's what all of this says. So if you're looking for sine, opposite, and hypotenuse are what matters. The next one that we have is our cosine function. Normally cosine gets abbreviated to COS. Whatever angle you're given, if you want cosine, you want to have the adjacent leg and the hypotenuse. Sorry. Okay, that's what all that says at the bottom too. So cosine is adjacent and hypotenuse. And tangent, you want to do opposite over adjacent. Okay. There's this really fun, maybe it isn't the word, but there's this little saying that we do, so, ka, toa, to help you remember this. So, the S is sine. Sine is opposite hypotenuse. So, SOH. So, ka is your cos, which is adjacent hypotenuse. So, SOH, CAH. So, ka. And then toa would be your tangent, which gets abbreviated down to just tan, which is opposite and adjacent. So, ka, toa. So, ka, toa. So, ka, toa. Hopefully that'll help you remember what you want to do. And what we can do with these is, given different things, we just want to set it up. So this is asking about, if I had a 30, 60, 90 triangle, just a basic one, and I want to know the sine of 30. Well, from 30, 1 would be my opposite, and my hypotenuse is 2. Okay? So that's how they get opposite over hypotenuse 1 over 2. If I did my 45, 45, 90, opposite of my 45 is 1. Hypotenuse is square root of 2. And then 60, and this is a little weird, but, oh, that's not what I wanted. We still have a triangle. Okay. What they did here is they flipped it. So now it does depend on what angle you have, which is a good thing about this. From 60, the square root of 3 is my opposite, but 2 is still my hypotenuse. Okay? Now let's do our cosine. Keep erasing the triangle just to confuse everybody. Okay. So we have our triangle again. We want to do cosine of 30, because that's what's up top here. adjacent, hypotenuse. So I do square root of 3 over my 2. And I'll just kind of they screwed that up. And then finally, we would do my tangent. Tangent will be opposite. I don't know what they did here. This, not right. Opposite should be your 1 over your square root of 3 if you're doing tangent of 30. The 45s. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. For my oh, okay. Anyway, we could fill in this whole chart, but I'm just going to skip the rest of it. It looks like there's some stuff messed up, so I'm just going to move on to a better problem, especially since we are almost out of time. Okay, so how do you solve using these? What I always like to do, you're given an angle, okay? This is my opposite. Since it's across from my angle, this is opposite, and this is hypotenuse. That tells me, so katoa, I want to use the one with the O and the H, the sine. So sine 37, you can do that in the calculator. Your phone should have a calculator. You can also look it up on the internet. You need to be careful because you should be able to hit sine. Let me see. That should be fine. Yeah. You should just be able to hit sine 37 in my phone, and it worked out fine. Okay. If you're having issues with it, let me know. It should equal opposite 800 over hypotenuse. When I put sine 37, I got 0.6. You can round to 1 decimal place. It'll have a lot of decimals. Equal to 800 over hypotenuse. I'm going to cross multiply and get 0.6 hypotenuse equal to 800, and my final step will just be divide by 0.6. So your hypotenuse will equal 800, come on phone, divided by 0.6, which would give me 1,333. Okay, we'll talk about this more. Really focus on being able to set them up. So katoa.